Flight Check Season 1, Episode 11, right here, right now. We can actually talk about Flyquest and LCS for the first time in what feels like eons. And not to worry, all you faithful 100 Talk Pod listeners and watchers, this is not a usual time. Noxwar had work until approximately 31 minutes ago. He raced home, he showered, he ate, and now he's here on stream live.
We fresh and ready though.
Ready to go with some hot topics for LCS summer. Nox, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, dude. Like, I had a long day at work, but I'm like rejuvenated. I am hyped. I'm ready to talk about FlyQuest and the expectations, and I'm just ready to go. I'm so excited.
That's like 5 minutes ago, I was like, man, I'm feeling a little sleepy. I was like yawning a little bit. And then all of a sudden we started talking and I started looking at the schedule for LCS this weekend. LCS is this weekend. And I was like, oh, let's go. I'm ready to talk some League of Legends. I'm hyped. Let's freaking go, guys. Oh, man. I'm excited. Curly, dude, what's up with you?
Dude, well, just kind of spent all day prepping for this. You see these lovely backgrounds, updating the colors. Got a new profile photo with the logo, updated the Twitch banner, like just did all that, and a lot of League inting on my personal stream. But hey, we don't need to talk about that because we're here for LCS. Because just like you, I'm equally as hyped. Like, ever since when MSI was over, I was like countdown to LCS, and then it was like FlyQuest news all last week, so I was like, okay, we need LCS, so I can see all this. I'm just super hype, just like you. I'm excited to see what this weekend has in store, and I am excited to talk with you, gents, about FlyQuest, LCS, everything, just everything.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is going to be a great episode, I am sure. We're going to go over things. We're going to recap spring a little bit, check in on where the standings are, if everyone will recall. Spring records now translate directly over to summer. So unfortunately for all of us, FlyQuest is starting the season in 8th place at 6-12. So there's a little bit of a long road to hoe, but who knows? I think some things will get better. And we'll also be going over a little bit of a tier list, talking about certain support situations. Still no word on that officially. Talking about the meta, goals and expectations. And then, yeah, of course, got to preview those matchups for the first week. So if you are watching this stream live right now, go hit our little follow button down there so that we can get ourselves up to 50 followers. And perhaps maybe start making it to affiliate. Maybe make a little bit of cash off of this. So that, as Roadroller says in chat, so he can donate so that Nox can get some 720p on his webcam going.
I'm sorry, guys. I'll work on it.
Someday it will happen, and that day will be a day of great rejoicing among the Flight Check community.
Did you see what 100 Talk said?
Oh my god.
100 Talk can't wait to get Nox up to 360p. So, you know.
Oh,
man over here is rocking that 144. But you know what? As long as the world can hear you, that's all that matters, right?
Yeah, in our defense, this is a podcast, okay? They're not supposed to look at me. They're supposed to listen to me.
This is an audio cast. You're supposed to listen to our sweet, dulcet tones as we discuss high-quality North American League of Legends. So, that's what we're here for. All right, so spring.
Oh my god.
Well, we all kind of know how spring went. C9, pretty dominant
C9
throughout. Yeah, it was just C9. C9. You had TL up there, TSM, 100 Thieves, EG, Dignitas, Immortals, us, FlyQuest, CLG, and Golden Guardians in that order. Now, to start off, I do want to just talk about some of the roster changes that came through over the off-season. There weren't a ton, but I think the ones that were there were pretty significant, and I want to get each of y'all's takes on them. And I'm going to start I'm just going to start from the bottom, and I think we can hit this one really fast. But the big one for Golden Guardians was they brought both Niles and Newbie, their top in support, from their starting lineup down to Academy, and they promoted Solo, who they had signed in the offseason, ostensibly to play in their Academy lineup. And now, I think he literally signed with them, and then less than a week later, they announced that they were bringing him up to LCS. So
Yep.
super interesting there. I'm not exactly sure what that deal was. But Solo and Chime from their academy replacing Newbie. Um, I don't know if this really changes anything, if I'm being honest. Um, I know everyone really loved to flame Niles excessively almost. But I'm really not sure if bringing in Solo and bringing in Chime is really going to change anything for this team. Knox, I mean, do you have any thoughts there?
I think honestly, as long as you have Iconic in the jungle, I mean, don't get me wrong, Niles did not look good in the top lane. He was constantly getting crapped on, but at the same time, like some of those KDAs that he had, where he was like 0-8 or whatever, like there were times that if Iconic had been up there to help him, like that turns around real fast, and Niles starts having like actually a really good game, right? So, granted, I don't think Niles was ready for LCS whatsoever, but at the same time, as long as Iconic's still in the starting roster for Golden Guardians, I mean, Solo's going to be able to hold his ground better, but he's not going to be able to carry. He doesn't have the same torrent on his team like he used to on Flyquest. So, as far as I'm still concerned, this is still a 10th place team.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Curly, do you have any dissent there or anything like that?
Not particularly. Like when I look at Golden Guardians, it's I don't want to flame, but I don't really have the highest of expectations, and I don't know if bringing up your academy members is going to change much of that. You know, even like I love Solo, obviously former FlyQuest player, but one man can't carry a team so much. You know.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I just saw Nox's cat. Oh my gosh.
Oh, we got a cat cam going on?
A little bit. Yeah, got to get those views somehow, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Um,
But yeah, so I don't really have much dissent, kind of more concurrence. Maybe Solo will impress me because a top laner, I always look at them more closely, so hopefully he'll perform higher than those expectations.
yeah. Yeah, all right, let's hit the rest of these roster changes real fast. The big one for 100 Thieves.
Mr.
Ryoma.
Abadaga himself.
What?
Or continue.
Oh
Getting
yeah,
ahead of
the big one. Yeah, absolutely the big one. Abadage coming in mid, replacing Ryoma slash kind of Demonte. Not really. Who knows anymore? And Reaper coming in as the head coach in place of Zix. So a big shakeup for 100 Thieves in the middle of the season. I mean, replacing your mid laner. That's a move. Um, I mean, that's the lane that a lot of stuff revolves around, especially in this era where you see a lot of mid jungle pairing up going on. So I'll be really interested to see how Abadage creates some synergy with Closer, with the rest of the team, if they can really meld together well. If he brings anything spicy over from EU, what Reaper has, in his pocket. I mean, Reaper's been out of the coaching scene, for a while now. So I'm interested to see what he brings back. It could be really interesting from 100 Thieves this summer. I do think this makes them more competitive, but I'm not exactly sure if it will take them all the way to the top. I think it takes them from where they were to maybe a place or two ahead of some other teams for sure.
I mean, personally, from what I've seen from Abadage's performance in the LEC, from what I've watched there, if he can fit in well with the 100 Thieves roster and if they create a good synergy amongst each other, the power of Abadage as a solo carry, I could honestly see. I know few weeks back, like way back in 100 Talk Pod, they were talking about when Papa was saying, look, we're realistic. We are a top 4 team. That's our goal. I think this guarantees it and might even push them up to top 3. I don't know if I mentioned that when we talked about it way back when, but I think Abadage being on there could like push him up to top 3, push TSM out.
I think it does push him into the top 3, honestly. I think TSM's now sitting at 4th, and I mean, don't get me wrong, they're still going to have to fight for it, but I think there's a solid edge for 100 Thieves in that category now. And really, the question I think a lot of people aren't asking is, how well can this 100 Thieves roster compete with the Cloud9 and Team Liquid rosters?
Yeah. No, I would agree. Interestingly enough, a team that also made a change, but one that I think really flew under the radar was Evil Geniuses, and dropping deftly and bringing in Danny, formerly known as Shiro. He was on Evil Geniuses Prodigies team. So all the way from Prodigies to LCS, big move. But from what I saw of Shiro in Proving Grounds, and from what we have seen of Deftly over the last few seasons now, I'm going to call this an upgrade. I think this is a really burgeoning talent that Evil Geniuses has under their control, and I think this is a really good move for them. I think this is both an upgrade now and in the future. I think often we talk about teams doing a side grade on their players, like exchanging, like if you were to change out, Darshan for Solo, right? That's like a side grade of a move. But, I think Danny, is now going to be a really big asset for Evil Geniuses, and probably will put them, in my opinion, in contention for some of those, top 3, definitely for that 3rd place spot.
Yeah. So you're saying Evil Geniuses will be able to... They'll be able to compete for top 3?
I think it's possible with this move. Now, we'll have to get through that when we go through our tier list later tonight.
Of course.
But let's talk about the big discussion that we cannot really leave on the table anymore, and that is Diamond versus Dreams for Flyquest. This is a discussion that we started having in spring, and we saw them bring in Dreams at the end of the spring split. And in my opinion, the team looked better. And I think you guys agree with that.
Yeah, no, I would agree in those 3 games
sure.
that Dreams was in. The team looked better, even though the result was still a 1-2.
Right. Now, I believe the rumor god himself, LEC Wooloo, posted something a while back that Dreams is supposed to be in favor of getting the starting spot, but there has been no confirmation from the team officially up until this date of recording, which is May 31st, 9:44 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we don't know yet if Diamond or Dreams is going to be our starting support. And I think now is the time to have the discussion. Okay, are we going to run it back with Diamond? Or are we going to take the sure thing? Or I don't know if it's a sure thing, but maybe a bit more of a proven veteran in Dreams. And so I'm just going to leave it out to you guys. Let's start with Curly. I want to hear your thoughts on this topic. This is a big one for us.
Yeah. I mean, so my my take on this is I have to look at Diamond as a personality and separate that Diamond from Diamond as the player we saw in spring, but then take into account what could have happened over summer. And so if we ignore any growth over summer, as much as I love the guy, because Diamond, I think, has a great attitude, I think he's a very positive person. He takes, he's good at self-reflection, and he took the benching very gracefully. And so a man like that, I want to see him perform. I want to see him on the main roster, and I want, like I would like to say that. But from what we saw, if the team looked that much better with Dreams over one weekend, it might just be a better move for both rosters, because maybe Diamond could bring in some different different style to the academy team if we do a little switcherooski. And we know he was having a good time in the academy scene last year. So if we bring Dreams up and move Diamond over to academy, I think that might be the smartest move. Now, however, it's been the off season, so in between splits, there could be so much growth that Diamond has done as a player. There could have been a lot of coaching that's been done. There could have been a lot of grinding that we just don't know about, because we haven't really heard from many of the players, from what I see, aside from Jose Dioto retweeting here and there and other stuff. And so for all we know, they've just been grinding and training. Now let's look at Dreams. Dreams, as we said, performed really well over those 3 weekends, and then when we were watching the academy tournaments, I also really liked what he was doing there. I like, particularly Dreams on Rel is just very
It's
fun.
scary.
It's scary, and I love it. And so if he can bring that up to the LCS, I would like to see that. So enough indecision. What I at the end of the day, as much as I love Diamond, I want to see Dreams on the main roster, and that's just, that's where I'm at with that.
No, I think that's fair. Knox, what do you got? I mean, it's a tough call, I think. It's not easy, because I think Diamond is he's a likable player, but this is a business, and we're trying to win, right? We're trying to do well. We're trying to make playoffs and compete for one of those world spots. So when you gotta make those calls, they might be tough, but you got to do it for the sake of putting W's in your column.
The way I've been looking at it is that Dreams has shown just more promise and understanding with this roster. And another thing you guys have to look at and consider in this is you have to look at Licorice, which that seems weird, support and top lane, very separated, right? But hear me out on this. Licorice had that interview with Travis early on, right after that Dignitas game at the end of the spring split, right? In which case he was talking about how he was the whole split. There was the team trying to figure out their identity and what they wanted to do, and that he himself was personally struggling with how to lead the team and how to be a leader and how to be that veteran. And he talked about how on Cloud9, he never really had to speak out and say, hey, let's go do this, because most of the time it was Blabber and Niski or whoever taking over and going, no, we got to do this, and it worked out. So for him, he just started saying, okay, I'll go do what they say, right? So he comes to this Flyquest team. He's the veteran, right? He's the star. Like, everyone thought it, right? Like, we acquired Licorice. Everyone's like, yeah, we got Licorice. We're so excited. And then it was like, okay, we got Licorice, and he's this veteran. He's been on Cloud9. He went to semifinals of Worlds. He's literally, like, all this stuff. And then it comes down to, it's like, he's not an in-game leader. And then you have Diamond, who, I mean, it's his first time on the LCS stage, and from the evidence that we saw from the 15 games that he played, it seems that he cannot balance being an in-game leader with his mechanical play at the same time. Now look at Dreams. You have Dreams, who was on the Schalke 04 roster over in the LEC, who had that giant miracle run to make it into playoffs and had a deep run into playoffs, for that matter. He's had plenty of other teams that he's performed very, very well on. The man has proven that he can lead in-game, because it's been reported that he's a great in-game leader, and he has the mechanics to back it up. Along with, and this is a very, very, very small sample size, so please take this with a grain of salt, those 3 games at the end of the spring season, he looked good and the team looked improved. With all of that said, who knows, during the offseason, maybe they continue testing things out. Maybe they've been trying things in scrims for the past 2 weeks and they want to stick with Diamond, in which case we don't have access to that information. From the information I do have, I'm leaning towards Dreams. He looks and sounds like he's what FlyQuest needs to get out of this rut of going 1-2 every week.
Yeah.
And honestly, and we can talk about this more later, but this first week, the matchups we have of CLG, Dignitas, and Evil Geniuses, that is a possible 3-0 week for us. It could happen.
Yeah, I think that's a fair. I think it's a fair call. I mean, ultimately, you have to go with the roster that is going to give you the best shot at winning. And if Dreams is that guy, I think it's fair to say that maybe that is the guy we go with. And it's frustrating because I think Diamond is a good player, but he might need to just wait for his time a little bit longer. Show that he really has what it takes to be on that main roster. In terms of fitting in overall, maybe we talk a little bit about our tier list setup for the summer.
Is it the tier list conversation now?
Is that what we're moving toward? I didn't exactly have a firm plan of
I feel like we
attack
could
for the
probably
show
do.
tonight, so.
I feel like we could do tier list more towards the end. If anything,
Oh.
I would say you guys want to talk about the expectations for
Yeah.
Fly.
Yeah, let's do expectations.
In which case, then we can segue that into our tier list for LCS overall.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah, let's do expectations. All right, Knox. Let's start with you then.
Sorry.
No, you're good. No, you're good. Yeah, I mean, what do you got? I mean, in terms of expectations, we're in 8th right now. We're starting in 8th place. Pulling up the standings real fast. Yeah, we're 4 games out of 6th place. And we're 7 games behind the leaders overall. That's a big deficit. That's a big deficit, I think. 4 games is not easy to make up, especially unless you are going in and taking dubs off of the teams you're directly competing with. That could be tough. So I want to hear. Yeah, let's talk about what we should be aiming for realistically.
So for me, and I honestly, between you two, I'm probably gonna sound like the pessimist here, and which that's okay. You know what? I'll play the devil, and y'all two can play the angels, however you want to phrase it. But realistically, for me, I think FlyQuest's goal should be 4th. If you achieve 4th, especially after the start that we've had for spring, I would take that as a successful season. I truly believe that. I know all the fans are like, no, you have to aim for world spots. These are the expectations. And I'm sure this will probably bite me in the butt tomorrow when Travis re-releases his cost efficiency ratings with the win-loss ratios and stuff. However, for the time being, until that gets corrected, because I don't quite think FlyQuest belongs in 9th place. Keep an eye out for that video. I think we'll probably be a little higher up on that. Even then, we're probably still going to be low. But I think the goal should be 4th place, and that will be a successful season. Because technically, this was, and some people I've seen debate on this, I think it was a developmental roster. Developmental rosters are not intended, in my opinion, to make worlds. And by all means, argue with me on that if you guys disagree on that.
Early?
Well, ideally, of course I want us to make worlds. Of course I want to say.
No, yeah, for sure. No, I'm a fan. I want to see us on international competition, darn it.
I'm like, yeah, we're part of me is like, let's just say FlyQuest all the way. We're going to go 18-0 this split. We're going to knock down C9. We're going to take number
to the moon,
1.
Baby.
If that's a mathematical possibility. But then, of course, I do have to sit back. I have to be realistic, and I have to be respectful of the competition. And I will be a little bit more of an optimist, but I am going to agree with some of what you said. I do think, you're right, this is a little bit more developmental. And this year, I'm going to be very happy when we are in the top 4 and make it to semifinals of the playoffs. You heard it here. I'm sticking by that. We're going to make semifinals. But next year, once we go round 2 with the same roster, they're not going to be ready for us. But this isn't the Season 12 preview show. This is the Summer Split preview show. So, realistically, optimistically, I do think we can make top 4. I see us, like, the silence in the offseason, the fact that there hasn't been much about what the players are doing, actually has me very positive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that makes me very happy because that means they've just been focusing on, like, preparing. And, of course, preparing for the new branding drop. So, we know with Palafox that he's been climbing the ladder. We know Jose Diodo is at the top of NA. And so with those two alone, that has me so excited to see how the mid-jungle synergy plays out. Because if they've both been performing like so great in the offseason and training like they have been, it's going to be exciting to see what they bring in. And I anticipate that at some point, Lee Sin is going to sneak its way back into the meta. And so we'll be able to see Jose Dioda on Lee Sin for at least 1 week, hopefully. And that'll be so beautiful.
Well, clearly what you need to do is just do a surprise role swap, and Jose Diodo plays top lane for 1 game, and he just takes Lee Sin top. And, you know, at that point, you just get into your opponent's head so much that they just don't know what to do with that, and they'll just FF at 15 because they have to. So
speaking of the top lane,
I'm going to be a little bit more pessimistic than either of you guys, actually, I think.
Sure.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I thought I was going to be the pessimistic
No,
one.
I'm going to... And I really hate saying this. I love this team so much. But just looking at what the other upgrades have been, you know, like I was saying, Evil Geniuses, bringing in Danny, 100 Thieves, upgrading their roster and coaching staff for sure. There are, in kind of our echelon, only 2 teams I think we could overtake in the standings right now, and that would be Dignitas and Immortals. So I think aiming for 6th place is honestly our best bet. That does get us into that upper bracket of the championship, and I think that's a good place to at least start. You know, and once you get into best of 5s, you know, anything can really happen in a best of 5. You know, an entire, you know, change in like how the draft meta changes. You know, who knows what the meta will be like as we go, you know, into the summer season. Things might fall out. Things might come in that are more in tune with our playstyle. I'm really excited to see what Jose Diodo is going to be picking up for jungle. Now that, you know, the Morgana and the Rumble had such a high prevalence at MSI. I'm interested to see him off of these power farming champs that I got so tired of. Although, of course, Udyr made appearances at MSI because everyone was like, "Oh yeah, Udyr is actually still really good," and because everyone was just banning out Morgana and Rumble all the time, Udyr was, you know, just left, and so they kept playing it. Hopefully, they'll throw some more nerfs his way, and I never have to see that godforsaken champ ever again.
So I wanted to ask, though, and I want you guys to clarify for me. So,
sure.
Are these your expectations for FlyQuest, or are these what you think FlyQuest's goal should be?
For me, it's goal. I think the goal should be to make it to top 6. And I know that sounds very down on the team that I'm a fan of. But just based off of what I saw in spring and what I saw from the other teams and the upgrades that they have made, I think that's a realistic place to be. So
then let me ask, what's your expectation for them?
Expectation? To the moon, 1st place. No, I think both the... Okay, so I see what you're trying to do here. So, like,
yeah, do you see what I'm getting at now?
Yeah. Okay,
Goals
so a goal should be higher than an expectation. Yeah, I guess in that case, maybe the goal should be top 4 and the expectation should be top 6.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe in that case. But I mean, I hate saying that the goal should be top 4 because that just sounds so
No, and
so
that's
far
why I
out, you
clarified when
know?
I said it. It was like this is going to sound pessimistic. I think the goal should be top 4. When every
Right.
team's obviously going to say we should be at Worlds, we should be first, et cetera, et cetera. But if we're being realistic and you look at the team and you realize where you're sitting outstanding wise, I think you should. Your goal is we hit top 4, we keep the roster, we go into the next year, and we hit it hard.
I think that's fair. And I'll compromise with you and I'll go right in the middle. The goal should be top 5 and the expectation is top 6. So,
Okay. So, Curly,
so
And
what
then
do
there's
you
me
got
sitting
then?
at the top with 4 and. Actually, no. The goal should be top 3. We should be
Okay.
able to surprise 100 Thieves when they sit like, yeah, we're top 3, and then we should just give them a nice sucker punch from below. Love you guys.
careful. We got a lot of 100 Thieves fans in this.
No, yeah,
chat,
no,
so.
that's. I know, but here's the thing: it's a respectful sucker punch. It's like
Right, right.
if you've watched Letterkenny, it's like the kind you give your friend when you're like, "Hey, who's stronger?"
Fair enough.
But yeah, so you do that, but then my expectation is like 4th or 5th, realistically, because the math is against us in that aspect. I do think we're going to come back strong. I have high faith in the I have faith in the roster.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, with Summer Split, this is a long split.
27 games.
3 games a weekend,
27 games.
9 weeks, 27 games. If you flip that and you go 2-1 every week, that ends up being 18-9. That puts us at 24-21. Throwing a
500 rating, above a .500
yeah,
rating.
absolutely. And we know in LCS, you don't even need to go 500 sometimes to make playoffs, right? Plenty of teams.
Especially with an 8 out of 10 make it to playoffs.
Yeah,
you
if
don't
8
need
out of 10 are
500.
making it to playoffs, we could make top 8 with a 40-45% winning percentage, which I don't think that's what we should be aiming for. I think a 500 winning percentage should be a goal. So maybe that's the goal. That's what I'll say my goal is. Instead of like top 4 or top whatever, 50-50 winning percentage. That's all I want to see
like
us
that.
get back to.
I like that.
So 50, not for summer, but for the entire season. So get us back to 500. And you absolutely make top 8 that way. You probably can make top 6 that way. And I think that's what we should set as the goal. And yeah, that's what I'm seeing right there.
Well, I guess
Okay.
now's as good a time as any to get into the tier list discussions. Have you guys made yours yet?
Yeah, I've got
yes.
one here. It's a little interesting, emphasis on the int, but we'll see how it goes. So
I'll clarify mine. Are we showing it on stream or like what's the plan, Curly?
I am not, because I was not prepared for this. This was an idea that happened literally in the prep phase, so
Okay.
all
Then
good.
I will
This
just
be-
explain it then.
This will be an exercise in imagination.
Hey, it's a audio podcast. We
An
need to
audio
do good
show.
at
It is.
describing things.
You gotta describe these things. All right, so let's start. Maybe let's just take it team by team and just say where we think we have them in our tier list. So let's just start with the easiest one. Golden Guardians.
split winner.
What'd you say?
Split winner.
Split winner. Yeah, right.
Yeah, definitely split winner.
I've got them. Oh,
Sandy,
man.
you're so toxic.
I got them in D tier, guys. I'm sorry.
So to clarify what the tier list says, it says split winner, dark horses, playoffs qualification, miss out on playoffs, and speed run to 10th.
Yeah, I organized it by S, A, B, C, and D instead because I think that is slightly more helpful.
Respectful?
Yeah, respectful, helpful, easier to visualize, I guess.
You're better than me. I had the D as an F.
Oh, So I don't think Golden Guardians is that bad. If they were an F tier team, they would have 0 wins right now.
No.
But yeah, I got him in D tier. Are there any counterpoints? Anyone want to try to push him up to C?
Nope.
I've got him. Yeah, I've got him there too. I think it's just a rough year for them. I don't want to flame them. I think it's a rough year, and it's kind of like being a Browns or Bills fan,
Oof.
where it's like, man, this roster change will definitely do it,
And then it doesn't.
and then it doesn't.
Yeah.
And I mean no disrespect to any of the players, but that's just how it be sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. And unfortunately, the management over at Golden Guardians is really not helping anything. I don't know if you guys saw that recent kind of tweet war where Hunter of Golden Guardians got Bjergsen to tweet more in like 1-2 hour span than he's done in like months.
Dude,
But
if you
Hunter
get Bjergsen,
if you get Bjergsen mad on Twitter, then you know you've done something absolutely
Yeah.
wrong. Like,
Oh no.
yeah, it was. Long story short is that manager for Golden Guardians was basically trying to call out TSM for something that never happened, and TSM Bjergsen, he brought the receipts. He brought the Discord chats. He brought all of it, and it was just a bad show. Did not look good. Egg on their face.
Yikes.
And that is a good reason to put Golden Guardians in the D tier. All right, moving up to Counter Logic Gaming. I have them in C tier. I think they started showing some improvement at the end. I think they might actually, now that they have their full roster now, obviously. They are making the right choice by having Poe Belter playing instead of RJS. So I think, C tier, they'll scrape some wins here and there. They'll look good some weeks. Other weeks they'll look horrendous. But I don't really see much coming from them.
So do you have them making playoffs?
No.
Hmm.
No. I have
So
them...
what if I were to tell you that I disagree with you?
I love this.
Ooh.
Spice. Let's fight.
I'll let Curly do his first, so just to see what he says.
All right.
Nah, actually, so it's quite interesting here. I don't know how this technically aligns. I want to say this aligns more with Nox War. So because I went with the original descriptions, I put them as dark horses. I moved them, and the way I interpret dark horses is they will perform better than people expect it. It's not necessarily a guarantee that they'll be in the playoffs. It's just you're not looking at them the right way right now for what they're really going to do. And so I'm kind of more in agreement with Nox War because that's where I put CLG, because I saw an up at the end of their split. Having Poe Belter play is a good call. And then I've got the double fanboy with Broxa because he started on Fnatic and then he came to Flyquest. So I've just got to ride the Broxa hype and be like, yeah, this man's is going to do wonders for CLG.
So I have CLG making playoffs.
Okay.
And
in what place, though?
Oh, it'll be like 8th place. Like, they're scraping playoffs. But they're making playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, if this was spring, they're not making spring. But summer, I think they make summer playoffs. And that's mainly because the amount of talent and really how good Finn is on that team, I think there's no way, especially towards the end of the season where they're picking wins off of Cloud9 and Team Liquid, this team's going to start making some moves. And so I think they're going to be unreliable and inconsistent, which is what's really going to cost them and keep them at the bottom of the standings. But there's no way that they don't take games off of higher level teams, and that's going to get them the wins they need to be playoffs. With that said, however, any guesses to what team I say does not make playoffs?
I'm going to say Immortals.
You would be correct, good sir.
All right. Well, that segues
yeah.
perfectly because I had Immortals also in C tier. So, I think this is up for some debate. Immortals versus Counter Logic Gaming, then.
CLG all the way, hands down.
Man, I just believe in the Portuguese coach god himself, Giotto. But
I mean, with Immortals, again, I haven't looked at them too much, which I probably should look at them a little more. They are considered our rivals in the LCS.
Are
But
they?
from what I saw in the spring split, they are a team to
Narrative,
respect.
narrative.
They are a team to respect. However, when I see like just the rest of put them next to the rest of the teams, consider the roster changes
Hmm.
and just everything else, I do not foresee them making playoffs.
Hmm.
They will try, and they won't go down without a fight. I believe there might be some good weekends where they take off the top three teams, like take a game off of C9, take a game off of 100 Thieves, take a game off of Team Liquid. You
I think
know?
that's fair. What's frustrating to me, just to circle it back onto FlyQuest for a moment here, um, we lost both our games to Immortals in spring,
0 and
and
2.
those are games that if we are going to succeed this summer, we absolutely need to win. Like we need to, like the teams that we need to 3-0 are like the teams that we have just talked about: Immortals, CLG, and Golden Guardians. Like if you 3-0 or do 2-1 against both of those teams, like you've got to get somewhere between 6 and 9 wins against these three teams. Um, Instantly that puts you in a much better position, just standings wise. So yeah, these are teams that we absolutely have to beat for sure.
All right, who's next on the list?
Well, let's avoid FlyQuest until we get to the end, because I think that'll be
I
Of
feel like
course.
we can probably just summarize the middle of the pack teams that will make playoffs. Like, just give your list of who's going to be in playoffs.
yeah. So like this is like B tier for me. Um, but I think, and this is like in order, but it's like Evil Geniuses, then TSM, then Dignitas in terms of like my, you know, playoff teams, and that's how I would rank those teams as well. I'd put EG over TSM. I'd put TSM over Dig, and then Dig at the bottom there. But um, that's how I would have it going right now.
Yeah, for me, I say like they're gonna make playoffs. It's not gonna be a surprise that they do. It's gonna happen. I've got Team Liquid, 100 Thieves, TSM, and Dignitas.
And then for me, to round it out, I've got Team Liquid, 100 Thieves, Cloud9, TSM, EG, and Dignitas being like
Yeah,
that top six, really.
yeah, yeah. And I've got Cloud9 in like an S tier, and then like if there was like an A+ tier, that's where TL would be, and then A tier would be 100 Thieves. Um, that's kind of where I have.
Ooh, you've got a lot more divisive there.
Yeah, I mean, I really split hairs on some of it,
Yeah,
but
I mean, so for like Team Liquid would have to int so hard not to make playoffs. They're probably gonna finish like
well, in talking goals and expectations, their goal and expectation should be top two, um,
yeah.
for sure, and Cloud9 as well.
Their goal and expectation be their goal, but however, my expectation, I don't know. I don't know, man. I feel like they're going to be pushed down to third or fourth.
Man, okay, by who though?
That'll be quite the sight to see now, won't it? Now, no, but as I said, I do really think 100 Thieves is like with this roster change,
Mhm.
and I don't know. I just feel like they've got a lot more of a fire under them heading into the season than some other teams do.
I feel like they've got something to prove now, right? Like this roster
Absolutely,
really has something to prove.
absolutely.
They've
So
got to show that it's not a failure of a roster, and that they can
yeah, and
actually
so I
perform.
think they're gonna make top three, and they could potentially make top two. They could potentially take down Team Liquid
Yeah,
on a really good weekend.
yeah.
Um,
No,
I think
I have 100 Thieves as in my top three as well. I think the Abadage upgrade is just too good.
I think
Um,
Abadage could stomp on Jensen easily.
Yeah, I mean, I think Abadage is better than most of the mids in LCS right now. Um, and I expect 100 Thieves to be the favorite for that third world spot alongside Cloud9 and TL, for sure.
Yeah, and I think I would love it to be FlyQuest sitting up there pushing TL out of top three, but I think more if TSM kind of gets their shit together, they'd be the ones that are gonna just squeeze TL out if they just perform as they are expected to.
Man, I think that's a pretty hot take. I think to say that
You know me.
TL is
I
gonna.
think.
You are the
Oh, sorry.
king.
Hold on. Let me check the oven.
Yeah, you
I
are the
don't know.
king. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a certified curly hot take on the show tonight. Team Liquid returning to their rightful fourth place, where they belong, always.
It's such a flame.
Man,
Good old Chokewood.
that's a big call right there. That's interesting. Um, I do want to note the maybe something that we did not talk about when we were discussing roster changes. One of the bigger ones was Cloud9, um,
Yeah.
benching Sven, bringing in King. Now, a lot of people have talked about this move and said that King is absolutely LCS ready. I've seen a lot of discussion where people are saying, "Wow, it's about time Sven got benched." Da 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 da. All kinds of chatter about it, and the majority reception I saw was A, surprise, but B, yeah, we're okay with this. Which was really surprising to me. Knox, I know you were on vacay when that got announced, but I
There was
mean,
a lot of stuff that happened while I was on vacay.
yeah, the world kind of went crazy, the LCS world at least. So, I mean, yeah, give me your take on that move, and what it could look like for Cloud9 up at the top there.
Straight up, I think it was a attitude punishment. Basically, I think Sven was having a terribly toxic time over in Iceland, and I think Jack was just like, literally. I think honestly, if you kept your temper down and behaved properly, and I say this with the I shouldn't say it's evidence, but like go look at the interview with Sven after the DFM loss.
Oh
Look
yeah.
how pissed he is, and he never directly states Blabber's name in that interview, but he just is like, it was Blabber's fault. It was Blabber's fault. It was Blabber's fault without actually saying his name. And so honestly, I think it was just an attitude punishment, and like because of your crappy attitude, King's now getting a shot, and honestly, the team atmosphere is probably going to be better. And while it may take a second for King to adapt to the main roster play style, and they may drop a game or two in the beginning because of it, I think King's good enough that it'll be able to adapt with no issue. And at the end of the day, I think King's going to be able to keep up with Zven, and Zven's going to really regret his attitude in Iceland.
If this is an attitude benching, then do you foresee Sven returning to the main roster, or do you think this is it and he'd have better luck just trying to find a starting spot on some other LCS team?
I think this will become similar to the tactical Double Lift situation back on Team Liquid when Double Lift got sick, but he was also having the motivational issues, right? And so basically, he got sick after having the motivation issues, and Tactical came in, and Tactical had like a pretty damn solid weekend, if I recall properly.
Yeah, he
And
popped
so,
off.
yeah, he popped off, right? And so Team Liquid goes, "Oh, we don't really need Double Lift, do we? Huh?" And like next thing you know, basically, I mean, obviously Double Lift came back in after Tactical had a couple off of games, but then it was just like it's stuck in their minds, right? Like, shit, dude, like the team atmosphere was better. We had good games with them, so we know we can perform. And so next thing you know, Spring Split comes to an end. TL finishes ninth place. Double Lift goes to TSM, and obviously Double Lift being Double Lift wins the freaking split with TSM, yada, 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 whatever.
Of course.
But this will be the same thing with Cloud9, I think. So it's gonna come down to how King performs. And I think while it will take King a game or two to kind of get the groove down of how Cloud9 likes to play, I think the man can do it. So
Yeah.
honestly, I think this will be almost a direct, straight comparison of the TL tactical, TL double lift thing. So watch on how King performs this weekend.
So what I'm hearing is Sven is going to end up on TSM.
Oh my god! Oh my god! It's
Wow.
literally lift. It is
happen.
literally double lift.
Wow, that could happen. Oh no!
That'd be funny.
Not TSM Sven again. Oof.
Wait! No. He's gonna end up on Golden Guardians, and he's gonna carry them.
Oh yeah.
I'm kidding.
All the way from 10th place to 9th place. Okay. So the final team that we've got to. I'm sorry, Golden Guardians. The final team we've got to rank is our own Flyquest. What tier, gentlemen, are we putting our hopes and dreams into?
There was no tier high enough to hold us down.
Triple S tier.
I had them as Worlds winners. Worlds 2021, China. We got it. That's the tier I got them in.
Actually, so what I really have here is I created my own is Perma winners, new Faker, but as a team. That's what it is. So we're just gonna keep on winning.
Yeah.
No, but what I really have them is I have them listed as dark horses, and I don't know how that would translate over to your tier list modifications.
I think that had them in B tier, if I'm not mistaken.
So I would put them there. Yeah. Because I think people are gonna look at our spring split. They're gonna see the 1 and 2 every weekend. They're going to see some of the growing pains of adjusting to the roster because it was a complete overhaul of a roster. And they're going to be like, man, they're probably going to do decent. And I think people aren't going to expect as much from us as we can put out. So I look forward to hopefully being proven right. Not hopefully. I look forward to being proven right when we perform above people's expectations.
I would agree. I think the general sentiment that I heard from various other shows, the Dive, Hotline League, was basically that we underperformed in Spring Split. Did not meet the expectations that you would look at when you see this roster on paper. If you name off these players, Licorice, Johnson, Jose Diodo, Dreams, assuming he's the starter, Palafox. These are good players. This is not a I keep roasting it. This is not a Golden Guardians roster. And this is also not, I gotta spread the flame. This is not a CLG roster, right? This is not like a bunch
I was gonna say, quit beating the dead horse, Sandy.
Alright. This is not a CLG roster where we're just taking a bunch of veterans and throwing them together and hoping they, do something. This is, and I would say this is a tier above, the Immortals roster, where that's also a project, but I would say their players are, further behind than ours. So I think, B tier is exactly where we should be, and the expectations should be higher. And, I don't want to see us, go through the season, and if it's more of the same, maybe there would be some discussion there about okay, do we blow this up? Do we start over? Do we keep running it until, it works out, or make patchwork changes here and there? That's a discussion to have once we get to the end of the season. But, this roster is expected on paper to do decently well. And I think that's what they'll come back to. Hopefully the meta will be a little bit more in their favor. Hopefully they've gone into their hyperbolic time chambers, and they'll emerge on the other side stronger for it. Nox, how are you feeling? Where should we be putting them in this tier list?
So to clarify, you both put technically your own B tiers or Dark Horse, that should the same tier theoretically. Am I getting that correct? Yeah, B tier basically. Okay. The pessimist in me is going to come out again. I'm going to put us sitting in C tier, in which case I still like I said, I still think we qualify for playoffs. I need to see some drastic improvement from our team play in summer if we're going to be worthy of being considered a B tier team. I did not see anything, in my opinion, in spring that really qualified us being worthy of a B tier qualification. With that said, though, do I think it's possible? Absolutely. We had moments of brilliance. We 2-0'd TSM for what it's worth. That is a third place team. We 2-0'd them in spring. We have moments of brilliance, but the rest of the gameplay is just like, oh my god, I don't know. I need more evidence. I need this team to prove to me that they deserve that ranking of B tier. So for the time being, I'm gonna rank them in C tier. They're qualifying for playoffs. My expectations are sixth place. I'm hoping their goal is fourth, and anything more is me just stealing more cookies from the cookie jar.
Would you put them in like a high C tier? Because I had them in like a low B tier. So
No, I would totally put high C tier, but
Yeah,
they're not B tier in my opinion.
yeah, I think definitively we would all agree with better than Golden Guardians, Counter Logic Gaming, Immortals, and I would say probably Dignitas as well.
That's the goal, yes.
Yeah, is be better than those four teams, 2-1 or 3-0, all those teams, and you should be in a pretty good position.
Absolutely.
That's between 8 and 12 wins right there. That puts you, you know, uh, at 14 wins, 18 wins, before you play, the other 5 teams in the league, and hopefully scratch out some wins from there. But that could be tough. Do we want to give a thought on who will win summer? Like, I think we all have kind of discussed who our top 3 are. Do we want to just kind of definitively state our prediction for it right now? I mean, I'll go on record and say that I think it's going to be Cloud9, Team Liquid, 100 Thieves in that order for top 3 and go into Worlds.
I don't know about a top 3, but I will also go on the record and say that C9 will dominate the split and be first place.
I'll be the controversial one again. I think eventually TL will figure Cloud9 out. I think it'll happen.
Okay.
I'm probably starting to sound like a TL fanboy. I promise I'm not. But I think the brains behind that team are better than Cloud9's.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Just wait for the 100 Thieves to take second
place. Hey, dude, I'd be happy with it. I don't even care. If 100 Thieves get second place, I'd actually be thrilled for them.
Yeah. Okay. I see here in our show notes, Noxwar wrote, I have opinions on the mid-jungle meta specifically that I would like to talk about. It is your floor, sir. What is going on in the mid-jungle meta? What do we expect for summer? What do you got for us?
So this is in reference to Flyquest. So let me clarify that. Like, this isn't like a general talking about like what the meta is going to look like. This is what it's going to look for our team. And so I would like you guys to think back at MSI and keep in mind that there's patches since MSI's ended, right? Mm-hmm. But look at what was being played in the jungle and what was being played in the mid lane, right? And then you think back to spring and you look at what we were playing then. And so you have Jose Dioto on these farming junglers, which were, let's be honest, not really his wheelhouse. And then you have Palafox, who was sitting here playing control mages, right? And I think we can all agree, unless y'all want to have a debate on this, we can all agree that Palafox was really not looking super spectacular on the control mages. Any disagreements on that one?
He was okay, but it wasn't anything spectacular.
Yeah, okay. I probably sounded
he had his moments.
Yeah, I sound a little pessimistic there. He was just okay. Like, he didn't have any pop-offs, right? And so now you go look at the MSI meta and some of the mid laners that are being played, and it's veering away from the control mages and more towards very active in the lane, very duelist-esque type. You're getting the Tristanas, the Lucians, stuff of that sort, right? And I think you're getting way more into Palafox's wheelhouse, right? So I really want to emphasize that coming into this weekend, you guys watch Palafox and watch what's getting picked for him, because I think he's going to have a lot more agency in the mid lane. Now, I say that... No, go for
it. I'm looking at Professor right now, and he's currently in a match with Wild Turtle playing Set.
Ooh,
that is all. Anyway.
Okay. So, I say that, and that's the Palafox side. That's the mid little conversation. Look towards the jungle now. And we have Jose Dioto, and you look in the spring, and you're playing the Udyr, you're playing the Hecarim, you're playing the Lilia, these AP/AD farming junglers that kind of tend to power farm the jungle. And then once things are cleared and good to go, that's when you can go affect the lanes, right? And I say this because I watched Jose Dioto. I watched his entire summer season, and I had a whole write up on him. And I looked at him in Latin America on Rainbow Seven, and this man loves to play aggressive stuff, and he's known for his Lee Sin, his Nidalee, stuff of that sort. And so now you look at the MSI meta, and you have Morgana, you have Rumble, and you still have the Udyr, and so it's still that kind of farming-ish junglers. And so I think, honestly, we're still in a meta that doesn't really favor Jose in the way he wants to play. So, with that said, we have a meta improvement for mid lane, and I think we're going to still be about the same for jungle. So, not the overall best meta for us, but there is improvement, which is why I do have hopes that this team is going to show improvement in the coming weeks.
Well, okay, so speaking of the first weekend coming up, we've got 3 matches, and 2 of the teams that we talked about being teams that we should be beating, need to wins, must wins, are in this weekend for us. So we've got, first up, first match of summer, Counter Logic Gaming on Saturday, last game of the day. Second game of the day on Saturday versus Dignitas, and then on Sunday, second game of the day versus Evil Geniuses. We are on blue side for game 1 and red side for the other 2 games. Per lol.fandom.com. Thank you to League Gamepedia for providing all the stats that we could ever possibly need. So looking at this, this should be, at minimum, a 2-1 weekend, in my opinion. And I think a 3-0 is possible. But absolutely need to beat CLG and need to beat Dignitas. I am going to assume that there's not going to be a lot of dissent on that on that statement from you guys.
I think the way I would phrase it is the minimum is the 1-2. The expectation is a 2-1, and it is 3-0-able. This is the way I would put it, I guess.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. Curly, I mean, do you think there's any way that one of these teams pulls out a surprise, or that we,
Well, I say we should win against Dignitas. I'm confident in our ability to do that. Mm-hmm. Considering what I said earlier about CLG, I still think we can beat them. I don't think it's gonna be quite as easy, but I think we'll still get a good shot at beating them. Whereas Evil Geniuses, I want to beat them. But I've underestimated them before, especially in pick'ems and all that. So I think I'm going to approach that match with cautious optimism. I want us to win that. I think it's going to be a good battle. I think it's probably going to be reliant on probably some bot lane. Mm-hmm. Like seeing how the bot lane performs, in my opinion, might just affect my mood of FlyQuest overall.
Yeah.
But yeah. That's
Cool.
kind of where I'm at with the FlyQuest weekend. But
Yeah,
I think it
fair.
is potential of 3-0, more realistic 2-1.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I will note, let me pull that up. The Academy team is also playing games again this week.
Starting Wednesday.
Yeah, starting Wednesday night.
8 p.m.
They play CLG Academy and Dig Academy.
So they follow the LCS schedule, except instead of it gets kind of weird, so it'll get off track. But technically, if you follow it lined up, they will play the same teams.
Yeah, so I'll be interested to watch Academy again for sure. Really enjoyed keeping up with those fellas. Academy's always good to just see the next generation of
with a new format, by the way.
Yeah,
New format.
Oh, so Curly, have you not heard?
I guess I have not. I've been living in the dark.
I promise.
For that.
I promise this is not a scripted moment, folks.
I'll make it scripted, darn it. No. So the new format for you, Curly, and for anyone who is listening who doesn't know, is for Academy they are now doing best of twos on Wednesdays and Thursdays. So that way, the games or the Academy teams actually get a proper amount of games. Unlike last split where they only played 9 games against each other before having a large chunk of time off and having an impromptu tournament come in to kind of get them some on-stage rep time. So it'll be that, and then after that, it'll kind of be the same breakdown as last split, where the lower ranked teams will break down into the amateur tournaments, and they'll have to work their way up to proving grounds.
Yep. Much like EU, we are going to see if we like ties, and for
that has me excited. I'm just gonna be like, I'm gonna sit in my chair and consume so much League of Legends over the next 3 months.
Don't forget, LCK, LPL, and LEC all have leagues as well. So it's just,
I'll be tuning into LEC.
Oh, I'll be on that LCK broadcast every time I manage to wake up at 4 a.m. for one of those games.
Goodness.
So
I commend you for that.
Nothing like some early morning Korean league.
Oof. But I'll definitely catch some Academy games so we can make sure we're talking about on the podcast here, because I do like talking about them.
For sure.
In total, there's going to be 7 Flyquest games every single week.
Yep.
Oh my God. Yes.
That is a lot.
Hey,
yes.
By the way, only means more money donated to Flyquest's brand new branding, which I can't believe we haven't even talked about this yet. I gotta pull up all this.
It's so beautiful. I love it so much.
So the new quest, Sunny Quest, man, this thing is super cool. They just keep finding new ways to do it. So some things that we've learned about in the quest canon is that quests can now have 2 syllables in front of them, so it doesn't have to be tree or B or C. Technically, it still rhymes, so you've got Sunny Quest, but
and that's
I guess
probably what it is.
Yeah, you could throw any word in front of quest that ends with an E at the end.
An E sound, phonetic E.
Phonetic E, but per usual, it's going to be $1 per kill, $10 per ocean drake, and $100 per win. And so the kills and wins are from the LCS or Academy team. The ocean drakes are any team in LCS or Academy. And all that money is going to be donated to the American Solar Energy Society. According to the Flyquest press release, an organization that focuses on accelerating the shift to renewable energy to decrease carbon emissions across the U.S. That is fantastic. There's a whole brand new line of merch. The new jersey is fire. You've got a gorgeous tree that you're like, if it's like a point of view, you're like looking from behind a tree towards a mountain, and the sun is on top of the mountain, and that's where the logo is. It's super baller, absolutely rad. I love it so much.
I'm going to be buying that tomorrow along with some basics. I'm going to be honest.
They dropped a whole new line of basics. You know, they rebranded the logo. Super interesting rebrand. I really liked it. I thought it looks really good. I will be interested to see if we retain the full Flyquest name or if we rebrand to something like just Quest. Because now with just like the Q, the green Q as our logo, the fly part is like phased out a little bit. So I'll be interested to see if there's like a bigger rebrand coming down the line.
I don't know if it would be just like Quest. I don't know how I feel about that.
Quest Esports. I mean, it's a thing. It could be. We would get used to it.
I guess I never really looked into why the team was called Flyquest.
I don't know if there's a good reason.
You know what? Let me do a quick deep
dive. It was started by High, wasn't it? Like it was like High and Lemonation's team, and it was just what their name they had or something like that.
I'm looking. I don't know if
Like,
there was
come to
ever.
think about it, why is like?
I don't know if there
why
was
is-
ever a full name for it. So
Why is 100 Thieves called 100 Thieves?
why is Team Liquid called Team Liquid? Why is
Well, my assumption is back then they thought they were making money.
Well, that's fair.
Liquid.
Liquid.
Yeah,
why
right.
is
Cloud9, they're on Cloud9, and they're like, we could just do a couple of yeah. Flyquest, there's nothing about the inspiration for the name. I guess we'll just have to ask another time. That is this podcast. My personal quest now is to find out why Flyquest is called Flyquest.
Why are we called Flyquest?
Why are we what we are?
Who are we?
Why are we here?
And now we will proceed to have an existential crisis.
To do a little throwback, which I hope you guys will get. Do you ever wonder why we're here?
Yes.
Yes.
Good old Blood Gulch Canyon.
Yeah, baby.
Oh, man.
Red versus blue.
That's
Red
good.
versus blue.
That's good right there.
But yes, the new branding. Personally, this just makes me more hype because, like, imagine, and this is just a personal plug real quick. The Q.
Oh, no.
My name. One of these days. That
I mean,
partnership is gonna
a
look so
certain
beautiful.
CEO did like your tweet about it.
That is true. She did like that tweet. I said, one of these days, if I make it big, I look forward to...
Hey, I didn't identify who it was. I just said a certain CEO.
Certain CEO. It could be It could be Nade Shot. For all we know.
A particular CEO for an LCS organization that is known for being Earth friendly.
For sure.
No, but
Also,
that's
real-
just
real
goals
quick,
for the far future. You want to talk about goals and expectations?
We don't have, real quick. We don't have to talk about it on podcast, but go check the League of Legends Discord for Flyquest.
Oh.
What do we got in there?
We can continue with the show. Just go read that when you're not talking. Or are we moving on to the next thing?
Oh, nice. Thank you, Road Roller, for dropping that. All right. What else is there for us to talk about? So we talked branding, we talked the tier list, goals, expectations, dreams, diamonds, meta.
One last thing, if you guys will, if you will entertain me for a moment.
Bring it on.
Absolutely.
This is the mega episode after all. We're hitting everything.
Narratives.
This is it.
You got so close to your
time to shine, folks. He's been waiting for this moment for months, and now it's finally here.
We've been talking about this behind the scenes for literally 8 weeks now, to give you an idea. Like, I've been wanting to have this conversation for 8 weeks now, and I kept waiting for a good show to actually do it. And it is now
the show.
Time. So, let me pose you this question. Who do you guys think is FlyQuest's rival in the LCS?
Ooh.
And I have who I think it should be, but I want to hear your opinion.
All right, so from a narrative standpoint, I think the fun answer would actually be Evil Geniuses. Only because, they've got the whole live evil thing, they're the bad guys, da-da-da-da-da. And, we're the good guys, we're trying to clean up the environment, things like that. So I would say, like, from a social media and branding standpoint, EG would be an easy team to point to. However, realistically, I don't think we have one. But I don't think there are many big rivalries in the LCS in general. I think the only one you have right now is maybe Cloud9 versus TL.
Which I will get to. I promise I'll get to that.
Yeah.
But yes, you're correct.
So I'm jumping ahead, is what you're saying.
Yes, just a tag, but no, you're on track. But Curly, go for it.
For me, there are 3 teams I think of.
Okay.
And this is, I could see, I like what you're saying with evil geniuses. So I'm not throwing that within my three. I'm just saying, yeah, I could see that being a possibility. I think some people spin us as technically being rivals with Immortals. They see us on the same grounds, and so I think that would be the easy go-to. I could also see us being rivals with Dignitas. Who's got the better use of gold? Of course, now we're green, so. But no.
Well, then if
I
you're going
could
to do
see...
better use of green, then you got to do Immortals, right?
But that's blue. They're if you want, it's weird. I don't know, because then it goes green to...
We're gonna argue colors now.
Colors, but anyway, Dignitas. But also, this might just be because of the friendship we developed with the 100 Thieves podcast. But I would love to have a rivalry with 100 Thieves, a genuine friendly rivalry.
Absolutely.
That's what I would like to have. So those are the three teams I think we could have a rivalry with, narrative-wise. Especially because it has to be between the good guys, the bad guys. Who's got the better merch? It's us.
So, I had my two picks, and I have reasonings, and I'll go with my number two, because I think my number one blows my number two out of the water. My number two actually was 100 Thieves, and the reason why is because you've kind of got this villain aspect going for them right now. They're an all-import team. A lot of people love to hate them, right? And then you have Flyquest, who's a very wholesome org, and people want to love them. Yeah? Mm-hmm. I will say, however, record-wise, against 100 Thieves, we are 6-12 against them all time. So, actual competitive standpoint, we don't really match up to them. We only win a third of our games against them. So, that's why the other team, my number one team, blows them out of the water. My number one team is what Sandy said, Evil Geniuses. Do you guys know, and I think Sandy saw this, but I'll be curious to see if you remember this. Do you guys know what our record versus Evil Geniuses is?
I feel like it's slightly above 50%.
All time.
I think it's slightly above 50%.
Slightly above 50%. What'd you say, Sandy?
I think straight 50-50.
It is straight 50-50.
Yep.
We are 10-10 against Evil Geniuses as an org. We have 10 matches won, 10 matches lost. I will say, however, and this is my one little bragging point, we are 2-1 against them in best of series.
Wow.
So, with that said, and let me carry this into the back half of the conversation. I would love to see the orgs take it upon themselves more often to create more fun narratives and rivalries. Remember El Clasico from Europe, Curly?
Fnatic and G2.
Well, at the time SK, but then G2, yes.
Yeah, no.
And then what was the one in NA? The big one.
Oh, CLG TSM.
There you go. Right.
Yeah.
Nowadays, what would you say there is? You were kind of talking about earlier, right? You kind of got the TL Cloud9 one going on, but that's just because of the two top teams of the table, right? And that's always exciting and fun to watch, but there's not really any storylines between it. I mean, you have Jensen and Perks who they never really truly played against each other outside of international competition. Tactical's brand new. There's just not a lot of storyline there outside of just these orgs have been big at the top of the table for so long. They're so good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I miss having these days of Reginald versus Hotshot GG. I'll dye my hair pink if my team loses to yours kind of thing. And so we don't need those extremes per se, but I would love to see Trisha go to the CEO. Oh God, I can't remember her name, but the new CEO for Evil Geniuses, right? And be we should collab at least on social media and do these interactions of good versus evil, because a lot of people nowadays, I've been in the Oracle's Elixir Discord who has Peter Dunn in it all the time, and people are constantly talking about it. It's just man, the branding for Evil Geniuses kind of just sucks. No one talks about them. And I don't know if that's what your guys' opinion or not, but I actually kind of tend to agree.
Yeah.
So
They show up and play. That's what happened.
Yes. No, seriously. And so I would love to see maybe a collab between Flyquest and Evil Geniuses and let's go good versus evil. The literal, you go to English class back in freshman year, this is the base all-time of blank versus blank. Good versus evil. yada yada, like light versus dark. It's simple. It's super easy, and I think it would be great narrative storytelling for these teams, and would capture a lot of people's interest. And I think a lot of people are like, oh man, I would love to go hate evil geniuses, which in turn makes them a fan. Or then you bring these wholesome people in going, oh man, I want to cheer for the good team over here, FlyQuest. And like it just builds the communities more. And so to summarize the whole thing is I would love to see teams take the times to work with other teams to build these stories, because currently right now all they do is they let the Rift do the work, which don't get me wrong, can absolutely do storytelling, but I need more out of the Rift stuff like Spin Scare kicking like cats out of trees and stuff. Remember those like little EG hype videos or whatever?
Yeah.
We need more stuff like that, but like it'd be cool to have collabs.
Right. Well, I'm
just so you know, Noxwar, I'm clipping this and sending it right to Tricky's inbox, the LCS production team. I'm getting the contact info for Evil Geniuses right now.
Please do, because honestly, if they did it, I would be thrilled and I would eat that content up like no tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm hopeful that as as more people get vaccinated and COVID becomes less of a problem, that we can get back to having more content shot, but in that more consumable way that builds the hype, builds a narrative, builds excitement, builds rivalries. I do think that's what is missed. And I think there's only so much that the broadcast can do, but unfortunately, this is a whole nother discussion, but the broadcast has not been doing the best job in recent seasons towards building better narratives for the teams. Well, I think that was everything that we could have possibly talked about. So let's recap real fast. FlyQuest, we're hoping for somewhere between 4th and 6th. I think that's a fair goal, fair expectation, and we'll see how it goes. Hopefully this week we should get a final decision on whether or not Diamond or Dreams is the starter. Rumor has it that it'll be Dreams. We'll see how that goes.
My one little tidbit on that I'll add is, knowing FlyQuest, they have a tendency to announce stuff like literally day of.
Yeah.
If y'all will recall back to the play-in tournament when Jose Dioto, we were waiting on Jose Dioto to play. He wasn't announced until about 2 hours before he was playing. So I would not be surprised if it's Friday afternoon and we're like, who's playing? And FlyQuest goes, this is who's playing.
Yeah. So
they
we'll
actually pull out a whole different support.
Yeah.
No one knew anything.
This is Ming from a little team you might know, RNG. He's our new support. Yeah, for sure. Well, that's super exciting. LCS is back. I'm so excited to have games to talk about again. Actual FlyQuest matches that we can dissect and analyze and look at stats and look at draft and just like really talk about. It's been it feels like it's been like 2 months since we had any of that kind of stuff.
I can't wait.
Any quick shout outs that you guys want to throw out there before we wrap up for the night?
Sure thing. Yeah, shout outs. See, I guess for me, because of all the graphic works I did, I'm going to give a big shout out to Fiend for all the new branding artwork that inspires how I brand FlightCheck, because it's like always want to be similar but not exact. So shout out to Fiend. Gonna shout out Drek as always. Love that man. Without him, I don't feel we would have like quite gotten our feet on the ground. So huge shout out to them. And then shout out to Trisha. She is such an interactive CEO. I don't think I've ever seen anyone quite as dedicated to like being a part of their community, especially when they're in such a position of perceived power. And so, yeah, so thank you, Trisha, for being humble enough, even when you're held in such high esteem, to still be like, yeah, I'm part of the community too. Let's interact.
Real. Nox, anything you want to shout out?
I would like to give a shout out to the 100 Talk Boys who are currently on right now, and I think we'll probably raid here in a second for those who are on stream. I would to give a huge shout out to Drek. There's going to be a little announcement on the FlightQuest Twitter tomorrow, and he has been a huge part of it and helping me work with him on it. And I'm very excited to announce it. So keep an eye out for the FlightQuest Twitter sometime tomorrow. But Drek has been a huge help with that particular announcement, and you guys will see what it is tomorrow. Big shout out to Fien for this fire merch. I'm loving it right now. It feels so good, and it looks awesome in my opinion. So shout out to her, and shout out to you guys for honestly being awesome co-hosts. And I'm ready to get into the LCS summer with y'all.
Absolutely. Yep. Super psyched for another LCS season. Shout out to these guys, Curly and Knox. Always a good show with these guys by my side.
Please read out Road Rollers. Shout out.
Shout out to all the Fly Discord members making all the Tim Kench pool party skins. Yeah, for most of the pool party skins, there are a couple that I wish I had never ever seen, and I wish
I love all of them, and you're welcome for making that an idea. I have no regrets for putting that idea on the table.
I regret many things about Tim Kench. So
you can
anyway,
continue with your shout outs now.
Yeah. Make sure to follow us all on Twitter at our various socials. Me at SantosDB, NOXWARR, Curly_Q_, and then us at FlightCheck Crew if you want to know when we're going to go live, because sometimes we have to change our schedule around for people's work.
Usually around me.
So sometimes that just happens. But we are so happy to be doing this show. We're so excited to have all of you along with us as we head into another LCS summer season. Super exciting. And we will see you all next week talking about week 1 of LCS. That sounds super exciting to me. We'll see you guys then.
Ready.
Have a good night.
Have a good one, guys.
Peace, y'all.